Alright, so I am preparing my Astral Projection Lucid Dream Tea with Zoe. She likes to help me. There's 12 different herbs that go into it, and you can probably see some of them here. And I'm going to be mixing them, and then I'm going to be doing a final ritual to enchant them for a client. So I'm making this tea blend for an order on Etsy, but then I also have a client on Wednesday that I'm going to be doing a session for also. So the reason why I'm making this video is so that you can see the process of making the tea blend and what goes into it, and I'm going to give you like an inside look as to the ritual that I do for enchanting it. So let me show you the setup real quick. So this is my ritual space. So once the tea blend is finished, I put the tea blend in the center, and I speak a couple phrases. And then this is the different herbs that I'm going to be mixing in the mortar and pestle. And then this is my ormus, dried ormus. What's up, brother? So yeah, I'm going to get started, and you can choose to stay and just watch the process of it. There's going to be 12 different herbs that I'm going to be doing, and I'll go over each one. Okay, so the first herb we're going to do is mugwort. And I'm not going to give you the measurements, because if this is something that you want to do, you ought to discover how much you require. This is my own proprietary measurements that I've figured out for myself. So obviously you're going to want a measuring device. Alright. So this is organic mugwort. How much mugwort do I require? Okay. Some of this can be boring for people who have no patience, by the way. When I do this type of practice and I make the tea blend, I like to have myself listen to myself playing the tank drum, because it creates that space for me to work in. So that's what you hear in the background. Alright. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the measurements of what I have, and after everything is in this container, I then little by little put everything in the mortar and pestle, which is a crystal mortar and pestle, and I grind everything up, setting intention as I'm grinding it, so that the crystal can amplify the energy of the herbs. So mugwort is already added. And my recommendation, if you do decide to start doing stuff like this, either make sure that the bag is tightly sealed, or get yourself new bags, because there's these little beetles that I found, and they're called drugstore beetles, and they're super annoying. And they get into all your herbs, and then you have to toss out the herb, and then you have to buy a new herb. So it's a little pain in the butt. Alright, next one is Kalia Zaka de Chichi. So this is a cool one. Kalia Zaka de Chichi is called the Mexican Dream Herb. This in itself is really awesome to play with, to have lucid dreams. The thing about it though, it's very, very bitter. If you have this by itself and you don't have any stevia or any type of sweetener, it's going to be very difficult. I remember the first time I received this and I was super excited to taste it. So I got like 2 big spoons of it and I made a tea out of it, and it was so difficult to down it, to actually drink it after I filtered everything out. It was almost impossible. It was probably worse than drinking ayahuasca or peyote in terms of bitterness. So, Kalia Zaka de Chichi, the Mexican Dream Herb, that's what the next ingredient is going to be. You want to be very sparing with this. A little bit of this goes a very, very long way. Okay. Kalia Zaka de Chichi is now added. Next one is blue vervain. Okay, where is that at? Blue vervain. If you study Wicca, or if you study any type of herbalism, blue vervain is an amplifier of intention. It is an amplifier of whatever spell it is that you're going to be doing, or any type of herbal elixir or concoctions that you're going to be doing. So blue vervain is an awesome herb, basically for amplifications of whatever the intention is. And that's why I add it to my blend. And also, if you're familiar with, what's that show called? Vampire Diaries. Apparently blue vervain is a thing against vampires. I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Okay. Blue vervain is now added. Again, make sure when you close your bags, if you start doing tea blends, that they're properly sealed. These beetles are relentless. They are super, super annoying. Okay, next one is Go-To Cola. Go-To Cola. I just bought some. Where'd it go? Nope. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. Go-To Cola is also an herb that I've learned in the process of doing these things. It's a longevity herb. It's a protection herb. Yogis would use it to get into deeper states of meditation also. So when you're creating a blend that the main focus is to get into deep trance state, this would be an awesome herb to add to any herbal tea blends that you're going to be doing. Go-To Cola also, there's a cool story about it. There's this guy, a Chinese guy, that he lived to be 250 years old. And they had asked him how he lived to be 250. And the many things that he shared, one of which was every day he would have a tincture of Go-To Cola every day. And Go-To Cola is also an anti-anxiety and anti-depression. So it's really good to add to tea blends also. So I'm going to be adding Go-To Cola. Let's see. Alright. And if you've never made tinctures before, tinctures are actually really easy to make. We put this stigma that it's difficult to make things. But if you really want to learn how to make things, it's simple to do. All you do for a tincture is you get the herb, you get a jar, You get 50 proof alcohol of any sort that is of that proof, and you let it soak for 6 weeks, and you shake it periodically. That's it. I'm actually in the process of making a new Gotu Kola tincture because my previous Gotu Kola tincture ran out. So I'm making a new one. Actually, I will show you what it looks like just so you can have an idea of how easy it is to do. So this is Gotu Kola. I'm adding that to my mix, and I'll be right back. I'm going to show you the tincture real quick. Hang on one second. Okay, so this is the Gotu Kola tincture that I'm having brew right now. So basically it's just the Gotu Kola, and what is it? I think it's 190 proof neutral cane alcohol. I got it from organiccanealcohol.com. It's pretty expensive, but it's the best quality cane alcohol that you'll be using. So if you want to go and make tinctures, that's the best option. So while you have this, if you're making tinctures, you fill up the jar, so like right about here, with the herbs, and then you fill up the rest of it with the cane alcohol, so that it's a little bit over the top. And then every day, make sure you take it out and you shake it a little bit. So doing this every day for 6 weeks, basically it extracts the spirit of the herb. And when you filter everything out, when you filter the herb out, you're left with the tincture. You're left with the essence of the plant. And then you can take little droppers of that, and you'll get the benefits as if you were to have a cup of tea, or if you were to use the herb in any other way. So you're drinking the essence of it. So that's how you make a tincture. It's very simple, not complicated. You can do it on your own. Just buy the material, buy the plant, buy the cane alcohol, jars, and 6 weeks. There's also a machine that that was gifted to me called the what's it called? The Magic Butter Machine. It's used to make different tinctures and different essential oils for normally marijuana, but you can use it for other means too. I've made tinctures with it. The cool thing about it is it has a timer mechanism on it and a temperature mechanism on it, and it allows you to change the temperature on it, and periodically it'll blend it for you, and you just leave it like that for, I think it's like 8 hours or 12 hours, something like that, and it'll make the tincture for you in that amount of time. So instead of doing the long way, which this is the long way, this takes 6 weeks to do, or you do the Magic Butter Machine, which takes 8 to 12 hours. But in my opinion, the longer it takes to make something, you're giving it more essence, you're giving it more energy throughout the process. So I did a Gotu Kola tincture using that machine, and I already ran out. So now I'm doing it this way because I want to see what the difference is mentally, if I notice any difference. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to notice a difference. So that's what I like to do, is I like to experiment, see what works for you, because one way may not work for you. So, alright, let's go back to measuring. Next one is holy basil. Holy basil, where are you at? There we go. Holy basil. Okay. Holy basil I also add as a, I guess you can call it like a protection barrier for the body. It's also a good thing to utilize for meditation. It puts you in a very relaxed state. Okay. Again, make sure that these are all sealed. The next ingredient I'm going to be adding is thyme. No, not the actual thyme, but the herb thyme. I have a funny story about this one. I work a lot in my dreams, so I get a lot of my information through dreaming, and I had a lucid dream, and in that lucid dream this man walked in front of me, and he pointed at me, and he kind of knew that I was in a lucid dream, and he says to me, look, that tea blend that you're making for people, for your astral projection classes, start adding thyme to it. And then I woke up from that dream, and that phrase stuck with me, add thyme to the tea blend. And then I researched what thyme does, and yogis also would take it, along with gotu kola, as a method of protection for their, for their energetic body, so that they don't feel drained after going through the meditation of astral projection. So you can do your own research on thyme as well. Just type in spiritual benefits of thyme, and you'll find what I'm talking about. And thyme smells delicious, by the way. If you've never smelt it, oh, it's so good. And I apologize, my allergies are really interesting today. So, lots of sniffles. Lots of sniffles all around. Okay. So thyme is added. Next one is wormwood. Wormwood is the same bitterness, if not... Actually, no. It is the same bitterness as the Kalia Zaka de Chichi that I mentioned before. So, wormwood goes a very long way, okay? So, be very careful with how you use it. Don't use a lot of it. Otherwise, your end blend is going to be very, very bitter. Especially if you're adding the Kalia Zaka de Chichi also. So, I haven't opened this one yet. Let me put on some more tincture music. Hang on. Okay. Ooh. So we're adding wormwood. Again, don't add too much. It is very bitter. Okay. This next ingredient is it's an awesome one. Let me grab the tincture of it and I'll talk about what it is. Okay, so this next herb is more of a tincture. So what I like to do is I add this last, and I'll share what I'm doing with this, you know. So the herb is called Kamalunga. It's Camalonga. I did a lot of research on different herbs that are really good for astral projection and lucid dreaming, and I've dedicated a lot of hours into this. And I come to find that Kamalunga is the master teacher of lucid dreams. It is also the master teacher of astral projection. Once you start doing research on it, you'll see that there are people called ayahuasca eros in Peru and Colombia, and also there are people called Kamalanga eros, which are also in Peru and Colombia and different South American locations. So those two groups of people both practice similar things, but they name themselves different. The Kamalanga eros and the ayahuasca eros, they actually have quarrels with each other. And it's obviously it's ego bullshit, but behind it is the medicines, ayahuasca, Kamalanga. Ayahuasca works when you drink it. Your mentality changes in this reality. Kamalanga eros, when you take Kamalanga in a tincture, or you take it as a tea, it works for you in the dream state. So they both have properties to them. But with Kamalanga, if you're not careful with the amount that you use, it can be a poison. It has strychnine in it, which is a very toxic poison for humans. So if you do get into learning about Kamalanga, before you administer it to yourself, do your research. The counteractive property of Kamalanga is kava, the kava lactones. So if for whatever reason you decide to play with Kamalanga, make sure you have kava available, or someone that knows about Kamalanga. But kava lactones will is the antidote for the strychnine in the Kamalanga. So that's just a tip for you guys. But I add this at the end, and I have been looking for Kamalanga seeds for, I'd say, like 3-4 years, and I couldn't find it. I even went to Peru with Daniela to find Kamalanga eros and to find the Kamalanga seeds. And I finally found the Kamalanga seeds, like, I'd say about 6 months ago, somewhere around there. And I am now making my own Kamalanga tincture, the authentic tincture, like the real tincture. Because this right here, they use the bark of the Kamalanga, which, I mean, I guess that works. But from all the recipes and the stuff that I researched about Kamalanga eros, they use the seed of the Kamalanga. You require a male seed and a female seed, and you let them macerate in organic cane alcohol, and then you use that tincture after 6 weeks, and then you add a drop to whatever it is that you're using. But you have to be very careful, again, because it's a poison. It's strychnine. Make sure you have kava lactones available, or kava available, before you play with this. So I add that last. Alright, Blue Lotus. Yes. Blue Lotus is super awesome. It helps with lucid dreaming as well. And something that I learned from a friend, that if you get Blue Lotus and you get red wine and you let the Blue Lotus sit in the red wine for, how much do I add here? Okay. Give me 1 second, let me measure this right quick. Alright, that's good. So it's 1 bulb. So if you add Blue Lotus to red wine and you let it sit there for like, I think, 30 days or a month, and you shake it periodically, it has a psychedelic effect to it. I haven't done it yet, just because the inspiration hasn't been there, but now that I'm sharing this based on looking at the Blue Lotus, now the inspiration's coming to me. So I'm probably going to buy a bottle of red wine and do that. just so I can see what the effects are, because I'm an explorer. I'm an explorer. I like to see what things are and how they make me feel, or how I choose to feel on it, and see what type of psychological effects it has on just having it. So the Blue Lotus is added. Now we add lavender. Lavender is now added. Stevia. Stevia is also a very important ingredient for this tea blend, because without it, the tea blend would be very, very bitter. Very bitter. Alright, so we're going to add this. Stevia is also, it's a sweetener, if you don't know what it is. 2 of this. I like to put a little bit in my mouth because it's super sweet to play with in the mouth, so I'm going to add a little bit. Okay. Stevia added. Now the last, oh wait, I missed passion flower. Passion flower. There we go. Okay. And the last ingredient in my tea blend is Ormus, monoatomic gold, white powder gold. Ormus. If you're not familiar with what it is, highly recommend that you begin to go on YouTube Academy or YouTube University and educate yourself. Ormus is a really powerful substance to help you get into deeper states of clarity. Okay. Ormus is added. Now, I add Kamalunga. Now, when I add the Kamalunga, I do a certain grid. I'm not going to share the grid with you, because then that would just be giving away my secrets, and I don't want to give away my secrets. I'm sharing what I want to share, and everyone's going to find your own unique way of doing something. Okay, so essentially I make a grid using drops of Kamalunga, and I visually see the grid points connecting. Okay. Alright, now all the ingredients are added, right? So after all the ingredients are added, I then mix everything up in this bowl. Whew. Okay. Then I get my mortar and pestle, fill up the mortar and pestle about 50% of the way, and then you start pestling it, mortar and pestling it. And as you do this, pay very close attention to where your thoughts are going. Are they staying in the herbs? Are you visualizing what intention that you want the person to experience when you're doing this? During this time, it's also good to chant certain phrases out loud. Remember who you are. Awaken, rise, experience. You could even chant in tongues. I chant in tongues, but I only do that in private. I still judge myself about it. But I do speak in tongues when I do stuff like this, which I'll probably do it after I'm done with the video, when I do the main ritual, which is, I'll show you after this. So this one is now done. You pour that back in, and you do that for the entire mixture that you have. Pay attention to where your thoughts are when you're doing this, being as present as you can. Music helps with that. That's why I have the music playing right now. And one of the things is, what I feel about mortar and pestles is, I know I don't have to do this in terms of grinding it, because a mortar and pestle is to grind stuff up into a powder. But what I've learned is, since my mortar and pestle is a crystal amplifies energy, it amplifies intention, as long as you give it that meaning. So in my reality, as I'm doing this, I'm grinding the energy of the crystal into the tea blend. Okay. And also good products that takes some manual labor. The more love you put into it, the more energy you put into it, the more awareness you put into it, the person, when they receive it, they're going to experience it. They're going to understand, oh wow, okay, I feel this. Okay. So, tea blend is now done. From here, I bring it to my ritual board. I put it in the center. I'm going to show you something. Okay. So, tea blend is in the center. This is my ritual space. Any rituals that I do it in this space. And it's because I created a power object from it. And what is a power object? A power object is an object that you use on a consistent basis, and every time you use it, you're giving it energy and awareness. You're empowering that specific object. And this specific object is, in my reality, a sacred space holder. The flames are indicators of holding a pillar of light going up into the sky for all of this, and then in the very center you put the object that you want to enchant, or you put the object that you want to raise the vibration of. So from this point, after the ritual is done, after I'm done with it, I'm not going to show the exact ritual that I do, but I'm just showing the setup. And after that's done, then I add it into tea bags, and then I ship it out. I also do this practice for my astral projection teas, for the classes that I teach at. I actually have a astral projection workshop coming up on Friday at Inhale Miami. If you are interested in attending, just send me a message. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's all the tea blend, the herbs that you saw. This is the setup that I'm going to be finishing my ritual on, and I just wanted to take you through what the process is of making the astral projection tea blend that I make. If you are interested in purchasing your own tea blend, I do make them what is it called? Made to order, so they're not like pre-made. I make them each individually based on the person that is going to receive it. You can go onto my website, www.thewatermagister.com, go to shop, and you'll see it there. Or if you go onto Etsy, you type in the Water Magister, and my stuff will show up there too. So, thank you for staying on this long and seeing my process on how to make the astral projection lucid dream tea. Later, guys.